Hi, you're in class with Dr. T.
Today, I'd like to talk about reimagining the American dream, from myth to beloved community. The American dream, long considered a symbol of hope and opportunity, was never a universal aspiration. Its origins were deeply rooted in racial slavery and settler colonialism, realities that have left a long-lasting legacy of exclusion. The dream was never truly designed for everyone. It privileged a small, affluent white elite while denying opportunities to African Americans, indigenous peoples, and even many poor white Americans. To move beyond this flawed vision, the United States must transition toward a beloved community that centers justice, equity, and inclusivity. The myth of the American dream was popularized in 1931 by James Truslow Adams in the epic America. The American dream envisioned a land of opportunity for all, regardless of background. However, this vision ignored the reality of systematic racism and colonial violence, as well as the limited opportunities available to women in the working class. The founding fathers promoted ideals of liberty and equality, but constructed a society that projected the interests of a white male property-owned elite. The settler colonial project displaced Native Americans from their lands, and the institution of racial slavery economically benefited the emerging American nation at the cost of Black lives and futures. This history undermines the promise of the American dream as a meritocratic ideal. By the 20th century, racial discrimination continued to manifest in structural ways through Jim Crow laws, redlining, and employment discrimination, perpetuating racial inequalities even after the abolition of slavery. Poor white Americans, though they enjoyed racial privileges over Black citizens, were often exploited economically, and their participation in the political process was limited. W.E.B. Du Bois' concept of the psychological wage of whiteness captures how these poor whites found solace in their racial status, even as they were economically marginalized alongside people of color. The post-war American dream after World War II, a combination of New Deal policies and the GI Bill, created the illusion that the American dream was attainable for more Americans. The U.S. government invested in social programs such as Social Security, minimum wage laws, and expanded access to higher education through land-grant colleges. During this period, labor unions were strengthened and industrial jobs provided a path to upward mobility for many. This post-war boom, stretching from the late 1940s to the early 1970s, seemed to offer hope that the American dream was within reach for working class families. However, these benefits were largely restricted to white men, as Black veterans and women were systematically excluded from many of the programs. Furthermore, the structural foundations of racial and gender inequality remained intact. Civil rights victories in the 1960s, such as the passage of the Civil Rights Act and the reinforcement of the 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendments, did not fully dismantle the entrenched advantages held by the white upper middle class. As deindustrialization took hold in the 1970s and technological advancements displaced labor, the American dream grew increasingly elusive, even for white working class Americans. Achieving a just and equitable society requires structural changes that address class, race, and gender equality. One essential proposal is baby bonds, a policy that provides every child born in the U.S. with government-funded trusts. These bonds, which increase based on families' wealth, would offer children from low-income backgrounds a financial foundation as they enter adulthood. This policy could significantly reduce the racial wealth gap by giving all children, regardless of all backgrounds, a fair start in life. Similarly, basic income, a guaranteed financial stipend for all citizens, could help reduce poverty and ensure economic security. By providing every American with a minimum income, the government could alleviate economic precarity and help working class families focus on improving their quality of life without the constant threat of financial instability. This policy could be financed through progressive taxation, similar to the higher marginal tax rates on the wealthy that existed before Ronald Reagan's presidency, when the top tax rate for the wealthiest Americans were as high as 91%. Restoring marginal tax rates to more reasonable levels, such as 55%, would generate significant revenue to fund transformative social programs. And of course, these progressive taxes would weigh heavily on the wealthy, not middle class or poor people. An essential component of this reimagined dream is affordable housing for all. Various countries have implemented successful housing models that the U.S. could learn from. For instance, Austria has one of the world's strongest social housing portfolios, with 220,000 municipal housing units and 200,000 subsidized units in Vienna, the capital alone. Denmark has similarly prioritized affordable housing, with 25% of new developments located to affordable units, and 1/3 of those dedicated to vulnerable populations. Finland introduced its Housing First policy in 2008, providing apartments to anyone in need as a solution to homelessness, resulting in a significant decline in homelessness rates. These examples illustrate how a well-funded and managed public housing system can benefit all citizens, not just the poor, while also maintaining social cohesion. In addition to policy changes, artificial intelligence and robotics offer new opportunities to curb social inequalities and improve the lives of working class families. AI-driven personalized learning platforms can provide underprivileged students with access to high quality education through virtual classrooms. This allows for tailored education, particularly for communities with limited access to well-resourced schools. In healthcare, telemedicine and AI-assisted diagnosis can expand access to quality care while reducing costs, ensuring that even those in remote or underserved areas receive the medical attention they need. In the economic sphere, AI-driven job matching tools can help workers displaced by automation find new employment opportunities, while robot-assisted social care can provide much-needed support for the elderly and disabled. However, the deployment of AI and robotics must be done responsibly to avoid exacerbating existing inequalities. If done wrong, AI and robotics could actually worsen the wealth gap and worsen the quality of life. Risks such as job displacement, bias in AI decision-making, and the digital divide must be addressed through policies that promote responsible AI development, inclusive design, and continuous monitoring to ensure that this indeed helps lessen inequality, not worsen it. The American dream, as it has historically been understood, was built on a foundation of exclusion. To realize a new vision of justice and equity, we must move toward Martin Luther King Jr.'s concept of the beloved community, a society rooted in shared prosperity and inclusivity. By embracing policies such as baby bonds, basic income, affordable housing, and responsible AI development, we can begin to dismantle the structural inequalities that have shaped American life for so long, for so many centuries. Only then can we build a society where the dream of prosperity and opportunity is truly available to all. Thank you. Please share. Please ring the bell so you can subscribe to this channel.